So Mick Foley recently made some news, if you will, by uploading a video onto social media, and I think as well as here on YouTube, where he basically entitled it basically, WWE, we have a problem. And he basically pointed out the fact that WWE has to realize, its main problem that is it has to realize it's not the only game in town anymore. And that because of AEW gaining all this momentum and allowing men and women that come to the company to have that creative freedom to, be what they want, say what they want, and kind of have the matches they want, as well as give opportunity not just to the up and coming talents, like let's say a Jungle Boy or an Orange Cassidy, or a Marco Stunt or a Luchasaurus, but also give a revitalization, a shot in the arm to the veterans, the modern day legends like a Bryan Danielson and a CM Punk, to be able to have one more last hurrah in the ring before hanging it up. And to him, this is a problem that WWE needs to wake up and acknowledge that, hey, guys like Mick Foley are right. We're not the only game in town. We need to, resolve this issue right now. And I guess one of the ways they're trying to resolve it, from what's being reported, is they're no longer going to focus on independent wrestlers to bring into the company. Instead, they're going to bring in men and women that have athletic background, not just in amateur wrestling, not pro or indie wrestling, but amateur wrestling, as well as maybe athletic backgrounds in MMA, football, basketball, baseball, gymnastics, you name it. Also that they could train them not only to be a wrestler, a superstar wrestler in their style, but to also train them to be their own homegrown talent, so that when their contracts do come up, they won't be so easily persuaded to go elsewhere, that they'll be more relaxed and more comfortable to remain in the company. But here's the problem that Mick Foley pointed out. AEW right now, currently, along with its partnerships with companies like Impact, NWA, AAA, New Japan, its potential partnerships, if they feel like doing it with Ring of Honor and MLW and all that, and PWG, the momentum that AEW has right now and could carry on for years would even attract and persuade, homegrown WWE talent. I mean, let's take a look at the history of homegrown talent, if you will, that WWE focused on, and they decided to go elsewhere. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, in a way Christian. These are just names that, basically went elsewhere. And they were looked at as OG homegrown talent of WWE's. I mean, Kurt Angle went to TNA, Impact Wrestling, and because of that, he was able to venture to Japan and work for New Japan. He was able to work with AAA for times and other independent organizations. Same with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar left WWE, and even though he was in violation of his contract, non-compete clause and all that, he was able to go over to Japan and compete there. And these guys were homegrown WWE talent. If you will. Just drinking some Pepsi here. But these guys were homegrown WWE talent, in a sense. Shelton Benjamin, the same way. Charlie Haas, and, Charlie Haas at one time, was looked at as homegrown talent. Where did those guys go? Charlie Haas went to Ring of Honor with Shelton Benjamin, and Charlie Haas right now is having a career up in Canada and with SWF or something like that. And Shelton Benjamin, he was able to revitalize his career along with Charlie in Ring of Honor, as well as make a name for himself and revitalize himself in New Japan. And these guys, like Angle and Lesnar, having amateur backgrounds and everything, were looked at as homegrown WWE talent. But in the end, what did they decide to do when the contracts were up? Or they were let go? Did they decide to wait for 90 days and see, maybe they'll call me back and utilize me? No. They went elsewhere. That's what they did. They could have talked to WWE. They could have said, hey, you want to keep me on board. What can I do to stay on board? No, they went elsewhere. They explored other avenues. They went elsewhere. And that's the problem that WWE needs, that Mick Foley is saying that WWE needs to realize. They are not the only game in town. And when you think about it, this little plan of theirs to try to sign talent that basically has amateur wrestling background, MMA background, football, any athletic background to them, doesn't guarantee that although you're going to groom them to be your own homegrown talent, it's not going to guarantee that when their contracts are up, they're going to stay. It doesn't. What it's going to guarantee is if they impress enough, it's going to open the eyes of a Tony Khan at AEW, of an Anthem Sports at Impact, the eyes of people at AAA, New Japan, MLW, Ring of Honor, the list, PWG. Again, the list could go on. It's going to open doors. It's going to open up the doors to those individuals that you think you're going to be able to keep around because you're going to groom them to be under your influence, as your OG homegrown talent. And that's not going to work. It's going to backfire. I mean, Vince McMahon tweeted out, WWE tweeted out that Vince McMahon that they had signed the recent gold medalist in amateur wrestling for this year's Olympics, right? To a contract, to a developmental contract. Guess what? Is he going to stay around even if he becomes a big sensation? Maybe, maybe not. His contract's up and he makes a big enough splash in WWE to get noticed by everybody else. You don't think Tony Khan won't try to grab him? Of course he will. The thing and the fact of the matter is this. Mick Foley busted his butt for that company. Busted his ass. Excuse my language, but his ass for that company. Got thrown off a cell twice in one match. Once in a match in MSG against Hunter. And the fact of the matter is this. He has all the seniority, all the rights to say from his own personal experience what the situation and what the problem that WWE is currently facing right now. And that problem is they need to get out of the established mindset they're in, thinking, we're the only big game people want to come to. Nobody's going to really care about AEW. Nobody's going to care about Impact. Nobody's going to care about New Japan, MLW. Nobody's going to care about those companies. They're only going to care about us. That's the thing he's trying to get. That's the message he's trying to get across. That they need to get out of that mindset. That they need to realize that the reason fans are attracted to AEW is because, like I said, the opportunity creatively that they are being given and the revitalization it's giving modern day legends, Hall of Famers, or up and coming, modern day legends and soon to be Hall of Famers, I should say, like a CM Punk and a Bryan Danielson. It's giving them that shot in the arm for one last hurrah. And that's the problem that WWE doesn't see. And that's what he's trying to address. And that if they don't address this problem sooner rather than later, it's going to come back to bite them. So the time is now. From what Mick Foley has said in that video, the time is now. Every point that he brings up, I'm not going to say them all. I'll link the video down below if I can find it. Or I'll link, a reaction video that just Alex did to it, and he replied to it. The thing is, the time is now for every issue that Mick Foley addressed in that video as being a major problem for WWE. The time is now for them to address those issues and move on. Stop being stuck in the past. Stop having flashbacks to it's the 1980s or early 90s or mid 90s, because it's not. This is 2021, going to be 2022. The time is now to wake up, evolve, and grow. And if you do so, if you're WWE, from what Mick Foley is pointing out in this video, if you address the problems or the various problems you have with your Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, Bruce Pritchard, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, Michael Hickenbottom, aka Shawn Michaels, or even Stephanie or Shane McMahon, if you address these problems sooner rather than later, as you're getting into the new year, then things will be better for you. And I know people would say, well, WWE doesn't care. It's about the numbers, right? You said it yourself, right? Yeah, I said it myself at one time. It is about the numbers for WWE. They look at the attendance numbers they get for the Raws and the SmackDowns and the various live events, even before the pandemic and all that. They look at all that and they're like, and even the pay-per-views, like I said, prior to the pandemic and everything, and even semi-post pandemic, and they're like, what do we care? Look at this. Look at all this. You know, does AEW draw this? Does AEW get these? No, they don't. We do. But here's the problems, like I said before. Sooner or later, if WWE doesn't, address the problems that even Mick Foley is talking about, those numbers that they currently have are going to crash down, and when they rise back up, they're going to rise back up in the favor of All Elite Wrestling. Is that what they want? Because if I'm Vince McMahon, I don't want to be like, oh my God, they got all the numbers and the money, we're going to go broke, no, oh. Do I want to be panicking like I did back in the mid-90s? No. Mid to late 90s, that is? No. So if I'm Vince, I'm Stephanie, I'm Shane, I'm Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, I'm Michael Hickenbottom, Shawn Michaels, I'm Bruce Pritchard, I'm Kevin Dunn. I wake up, I get that doubt of reality, I get that, what's the word I'm looking for? I get that reality knocked over my head with several baseball bats or sledgehammers or whatever, and I wake up and I realize one day, if I'm Vince and I have to have literally, like I said, bats or sledgehammers hit across my head, not literally, but figuratively, I have to wake up one day and go like, you know what? They're right. I need to evolve. I need to step down and give my son-in-law and my daughter a trial run and see what they can do. That's what needs to happen. That is the situation that needs to happen in the eyes of a lot of people, including Mick Foley. And again, this is a guy that busted his butt for this company. Broke every bone in his body almost for this company. So he's right. Everything he says in that video is on point. It's everything that, Brian Alvarez has said. It's everything Dave Meltzer has said. It's everything Chess Alex, formerly Delexman, has said. It's everything OTR Central has said. It's everything JD from NY206 has said. Bill Apter, you name it. Every person that is a fan of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, whether you combine the two as one or not, everything they have said is exactly what Mick has said, and it's correct. WWE, listen to your hardcore legend, Mick Foley. Wake up. The time is now. Wake up. Stop acting like it's the 1980s to the mid-90s, because it's not anymore. This is 2021. Get with the program. He is right. He has all the right to say what he did because he busted his butt for you, and now it is time for you to listen to a legend like him and get your act together. And Vince, you may not watch this, but Vince, it's time for you to step down and at least give a trial run to your son-in-law and your daughter and see exactly how things are done in a modern setting. But that's all I'm going to say on my reaction, my reply to Mick Foley's video. I'll leave the video reaction of Alex watching it down at the end of this one, right here or here, depending on how you view it on the video here on YouTube. But let me know what your thoughts are overall. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. Live chat during the premiere. Check out my Teespring store, for various merchandise, shirts, mugs, cups, glasses, I should say. Check it out down below. Again, like the video, comment below, live chat during the premiere, and I will talk to y'all later.